Hello, this is Yoda the Giant, and I'm going to do just a quick review of Dragonwilds as someone who plays a lot of Valheim. So I'm going to try to keep this short, but I'm just going to go over some things I like about the game, some things I hate, and then things I guess that I find odd. Things of note that are mildly interesting. And yeah, let's just get right into that. So things I like. The main thing I like about this game, which I'm sure you can relate if you have a complaint about Valheim that they don't introduce magic till the Mistlands. There's a lot of spells that you can use in this game that are nice. Like they just feel good to use. I'm gonna turn this volume down real quick. That. So, for instance, can just come chop down this tree. And that axe instantly chops it down. And then I can come use this splinter thing to blow the log up. And I very quickly just have 25 oak logs. And then the stuff goes on cooldown, so you can't just spam it. But it's nice to just be able to like, oh, I need some logs really quick. I'm going to run and grab some. But then you can't use it to just clear out a whole forest really quickly. Anyways, feels very nice, but also does not feel overpowered. For different spells, they have these lodestones, which are basically like portals. And these are interesting because when you teleport, it seems like the cost to teleport is a mix of the distance that you're teleporting as well as how much weight you're carrying, which again just feels nice. Like it's a nice balance, because then you can teleport pretty cheaply. Runes are also pretty simple to make. You can get runes all over the place from these weird looking things. You just mine the rune essence, and then you can just make one of these altars anywhere and craft whatever runes you need. So very simple. Runes just carry in your in like a separate pouch, and they don't take up any space or weight or anything. Anyways, very nice. Let's see. I've played through the game that exists so far, which ends in you killing the main dragon that's like flying around the whole game. And as a like demo, this is pretty nice. So I assume this is where extra area comes in later. If this is like the extent of the game, it's not very much. But if because they basically have what feels like 5 different biomes here, right? And we got like meadows, swamp, plains, and then each section doesn't even have its own boss, right? So if we're looking at it compared to Valheim, you just have the one dragon boss at the end. But if each biome is basically several different areas with a boss at the end, and there's going to be several chunks like this with the bosses at the end, that's very exciting. Like that seems very interesting. A lot of content for basically the introduction to the game. So we'll see what happens with that, but that does seem interesting. And playing through this for the first part felt challenging and rewarding. Like as you're spending time going out and exploring and actually figuring out how to kill stuff, it felt nice. And that's all I have to say about that. For things that I hate about this, I really don't like that the world is static. Right, every map is going to look the same. Obviously, that has some benefits in that they can, curate the content a little bit better, so everything is showing up how it should be. And then there's like secrets and dungeons that you can find, and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like that hurts the replayability a lot. So I don't know. You can take that for what it is if you like that or not. There's no range or magic levels yet, which isn't the worst thing. So like I technically have levels because skill gives you XP as a reward, and so that's in at that. But attack has damage, and it has these fun little spells that go with it to enchant your weapon, and to like give you a couple of abilities that are nice. And so I think range and magic will do better when they have those as well, but not yet. Another one of my big complaints, there's not a lot of good potions or status effects that you can get, it doesn't feel like. One of the main ones is anti-poison, which you kind of need for one of the sections. But you'll have some random food like this where it's like, this reduces the amount of shock damage you take, or you can get like a couple things of water, which are mildly helpful. I'll just show you this really quick. So like if you put a couple things of water, you need food and water to keep up your hunger bar and your hydration. You can get this thing where it gives you a perk where it uses less stamina to dodge. Another one you can make takes less stamina to run. Neither one of those feel like super necessary, because if you see my stamina bar down there, it goes down very slow. And it also recharges extremely quickly. So it doesn't always feel necessary, but the reduced dodge one is nice if you're going to spam dodge, because that is a thing sometime. In this game, the dodge is very forgiving in the amount of invulnerability time it gives you. It feels like the entire length of the dodge, it feels like. And you can also kind of spam it together to kind of just be invulnerable the entire time you're rolling. Anyways, the point I was trying to make with that is that it would be nice if there were more perks, I guess is what they're called in this. Okay, another thing, recipes are hard to navigate. This is an annoying thing. If you're trying to craft something, it will show you at any given station what can go here, and that's about it. So like you can then put stuff in there and then be like, okay, so I'm gonna put some water in here, and then with the water I can put these things and kind of look what it is once I put it in there. But if I'm like, hey, I need an anti-poison, how do I make that? You have to go searching through the logs for this, the journal recipe, and then figure out where the potions are and then go find that. So it's very annoying right now. My last complaint is that the first boss feels very easy. I feel like leading up to that point was many hours of working through the world and gathering resources and upgrading gear and all that kind of stuff and getting ready for the fight. And the fight happened and it was very lackluster, very easy. I ended up just shooting it with a bow, and then I had anti-poison and I was fine. It was not exciting. Fight him on top of that tower over there in the distance. Anyways, those are my complaints. Things that feel odd or interesting, of note, whatever. I have a list of things as well. And this is coming from playing Valheim a lot, because this is very much like Valheim. Combat feels clunky when we first get into it. Yeah, and I think it's just one of those things where it was the same thing when I started playing Valheim, where trying to figure out how to attack and when to dodge and when to block and all that kind of stuff. It was a little bit weird getting used to, but at this point it does feel more natural, and that a lot of it is like, just make sure you're blocking when somebody attacks, or make sure you're dodging when somebody attacks, and you can start to tell more and more the patterns on those types of things, and when you should be dodging or blocking or attacking or whatever. So that's gotten better over time. Combat against more than 2 enemies is still pretty difficult unless you're very clearly out, like geared up beyond the region. If you get swarmed, it's pretty rough, because you start getting like staggered pretty easily. I don't know exactly how that works in this, but it feels like if you block too much, then you'll get like knocked down, which I'm assuming is being staggered. And yeah, but like you have spells and stuff to help with that, but it just feels rough, especially if you're heading into a new area and you're not even geared up for that area yet. It's fighting multiple people's a hard time. Going along with that, the armor feels like it's a really big deal. As opposed to Valheim, it feels like you can kind of skip some things. You know, you kind of get the troll armor, and then you sit with the troll armor for a while, and you just kind of, you know, you can ride that through till you get iron. You know, padded armor, maybe not padded armor. But for sure, you know, you start to get the root harness and the iron helmets, whatever. Like you can skip a lot of armor, but in this, it feels like if you don't get until you get the armor for the region that you go into, you know, you start heading into the fractured plains here, and you don't have the bronze armor from that yet. Stuff whacks you real hard, and it's very weird having to do that. I already mentioned the dodge rolling. It's very forgiving. Let's see. The skilling, more weird things, I guess. The skilling doesn't super feel like what you would expect from RuneScape. This is me just playing, not grinding out any skills. And I feel like everything's about as high as it can go right now. Right, and I didn't really have to like train anything to get this. There's a couple things with construction because I haven't built a lot that would be nice to unlock this like personal chest that you can access anywhere. Basically an ender chest from Minecraft. Or I think there's a couple other random things like that that I haven't quite reached. But, you know, generally I feel like all these things are getting leveled up pretty quickly. So there's not much of a grind to do if that's what you're interested in. It's not really like RuneScape in that regards, or it doesn't feel like it at least. Maybe it will be in the future. The base building. I'm going to do some more of this at some point. It's just, this is weird. It's weird because it feels a little bit like Fortnite and how big of a thing it is you're building. But they also do have options to build smaller areas, which is nice because it does give you quite a bit of versatility in what you're building. So, for instance, let's see. I'm going to look at the roofing. So the roofing here, you have a 30 degree roof, which is, that's not what I got up there. I guess I got the 45 degree. So you can have that in large, medium, or small. And basically the large is gigantic, the medium is half that size, the small is half that size. So like it is interesting because you can use that, you can see the snap points from the large one down to this small one. There's 4 small ones fit in there. It gives you a lot of again, a lot of versatility in what you want to build. So that is nice if you're into that. Let's see. Yeah, and then the last thing, which I kind of already covered again, was that the water, what is it? Hydration and sustenance. This system is interesting. I just wish there was more to it right now. Basically, you have a couple things where it's like, you know, use a little less stamina with this drink. Use, you know, this one reduces your shock damage taken. So it's fine. I just really wish there was more things like potions, you know, in RuneScape where you have, you know, attack and strength potions and random crap like that. Like, I think there is technically an attack potion, but that's about it. That's going to give you that perk. What was I going to show you? Yeah. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on it. The again, real quick, the way the perks work, you can get 1 perk from your drink, you can get 1 perk from your food, and you get 1 perk from a potion, and you can have all that up. It also goes along with another spell. You can reset any buffs. So if they're longer, if you have a buff that's longer than 210 seconds. You can refresh it without it expiring if you remember to do this. I very routinely forget. Anyways, yeah, that's all I got. Check it out if you're interested. I feel like this seems like it's pretty popular, and I get the feeling they're probably going to be trying to update this pretty soon. But if you're into RuneScape, there's a lot of interesting stuff like Abyssal Whip, Staff of Light. I think I got a Granite Maul over here. Yeah, Granite Maul, which, you know, it's just that's fun. Anyways, all right. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you like this, if you want to see more of any of the Dragonwilds content, because I'm debating whether or not to play this more and make more videos about this. But anyways, I'll talk to you later.